ADR. Promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar, 1 o'clock in Abuja. Good afternoon and thank you for staying tuned to West Africa Democrat Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Gambian authorities detained at least 60 protesters over demonstration against recent hike in internet data charges by state regulatory authority.
No one person will go to mile 2 and leave others here. And nobody know the laws more than us. We have been persuading since Friday. If they want to wipe us, let them wipe us. If they want to arrest us, let them arrest us. So we stay here.
Ivorian President Wadr set to submit his candidacy file today for October presidential election amid political tension. 5 here dead, several injured in violent land dispute in Ghana's Savannah region. And in Guinea, public outrage grows as new revelation confirms authorities holding missing activists Menge and Biloba for national security reasons.
What do you think? They have no problems. They eat well, they sleep well, but only it is their freedom of movement. They are restricted for national security reasons.
And please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Well, we begin this bulletin with the breaking news just coming in because a passenger train traveling from Abuja in Nigeria to Kaduna on Tuesday derailed after reportedly missing a point, raising fears of casualties. The incident, first reported by security analyst Zagazola Makama, occurred along the busy route linking Nigeria's capital to the northwestern city of Kaduna. Emergency responders and security agencies were said to be heading to the scene at the time of filing this report, while officials are yet to confirm the extent of damage or provide casualty figures. Now let's head to the Gambia, where at least 67 youths are currently in detention following their arrest by police during a major protest against the recent increase in internet data charges introduced by the Public Utilities Authority regulatory, that is PURA. The detained include 43 individuals arrested last weekend for alleged unlawful assembly, along with 44 others who were apprehended on Monday while showing solidarity with their colleagues appearing before the Kanifing Magistrate Court. Human rights groups, along with political institutions, have condemned the arrest and are calling for the immediate and unconditional release of the detained protesters. Abdullah Hassan has the details in this report.
The protest, organized by a coalition of civil society groups including Team Gomsa Bopa, Gambians Against Looted Assets, Gala, and the Edward Francis Small Center for Rights and Justice, condemned the recent data tariff hike, labeling it as anti-competitive and a betrayal of ordinary citizens. According to the protesters, the new $50 per gigabyte rate represents a staggering 243% increase from previous promotional bundles that were as low as $13.33 per gigabyte. On Monday, demonstrators who gathered in solidarity with their arrested colleagues were intercepted by officers of the Police Intervention Unit (PRU) at the gates of the prison.
No one person will go to mile 2 and leave others here. We have been persuading since Friday. If they want to wipe us, let them wipe us. If they want to arrest us, let them arrest us. So we stay here.
Meanwhile, a separate group of young protesters created a roadblock to halt the transfer of detainees to Mile 2 prison. Police responded with tear gas to disperse the crowd, and among those affected by the tear gas was prominent human rights activist Madi Jobate.
I was admitted at the clinic because of the tear gas in my chest and eyes.
While demanding their immediate and unconditional release, Madi Jobate condemned the arrests as unlawful and a violation of the protesters' fundamental human rights.
They have not violated any law for doing that. They were illegally arrested, illegally detained. To be brought before court, our expectation was that the court would deliver justice as the House of Justice. But to our shock and as amazement, the magistrate decided to trample upon justice by denying them bail and then sending them to even a harsher environment, that is from a police cell to a state prison. For me, this is a direct travesty of justice, a blatant abuse of power by the magistrate. a total disregard of the rule of law and of human rights.
It is important to note that the initial 23 protesters arrested last weekend have been remanded to prison for 2 weeks as prosecutors examine their applications for bail, while the 44 others who were arrested and detained on Monday remain in custody without charge or release at the time of this report.
Abdullah has then filed that report. Now let's go back to our breaking news because we have our Abuja correspondent Usman Omar currently online with us. Good afternoon, Usman.
Good afternoon, Sankule. It's good to have you.
Thank you for joining the broadcast. Please bring us up to speed with exactly what happened with regard to the passenger, train that derailed off the rail, please.
All right. Of course, the information regarding casualty numbers and the cause of the derailment is still very sketchy. But as at this moment, we understand that the train took off from Abuja as early as 9 o'clock this morning, Abuja, Nigeria time, heading to the train station in Kaduna. And of course, along the way, it is reported that something happened on the rail. Of course, if previous, incidents are anything to go by, it has always been a case of vandalism on the rail that were chiefly the cause of other derailment. But as at this moment, we cannot actually ascertain the true cause of this derailment for now.
Before I let you go, Usman, do we know perhaps the number of passengers in this particular train? Because that would probably give us an idea of how serious this could be.
Of course, the number, as from what we have gathered from the Idu train station and, of course, the Kubwa train station, is around 1,700 passengers on board the train as at this morning when it took off from Abuja.
How often do we have incidents of train incidents in Nigeria, Usman?
Well, this is a very valid question, and of course, the most recent derailment happened as early as this year, which happened in March 2024 when the train left Gwagwa Idu. Also, of course, going to the same Abuja, the same track where this particular accident happened. We had an accident which happened around 11 a.m. on the March 24th this year already. There was also, of course, another one in May of 2025 on the same Abuja-Kaduna rail corridor. Of course, also in October 2014, 2024, October 14, 2024, there was a passenger that was crushed on the Oshodi-Lagos track. So most of the accidents that have happened, which of course are too frequent for safety on Nigerian rail tracks, have either been as a result of vandalism on the rail or people just trying to cross the rail tracks while the train is on the move. And so most of the accidents in Nigerian rail tracks have been man-made generally.
All right, Usman Omar, thank you so much for that update with regard to that train incident. Well, we will bring you some updates in our subsequent bulletin later on. In the meantime, let's move on to Togo, where civic movement led through the pages of Togo LTLP has raised alarm over what it described as a wave of political motivated arrests targeting civil society members. In a statement issued Monday, the group accused state authorities of orchestrating a campaign to silence activists, particularly those aligned with the Professor David Dossé, TLPT Togo's national coordinator. The organization cited two recent incidents, including the arrest of activists Ahmad Ableze and Osei Abagano in Lome on August 22. The pair remain in custody with no official charges disclosed. Another TLP member reportedly went into hiding after being harassed by unidentified individuals. TLP Togo is calling on the international community and human rights organizations to intervene, demanding the immediate release of the detainees and protection of all civil society across Togo. In Ghana, at least 5 people have been killed and others injured, with several properties destroyed following the violent clashes over land in farming community in the Saula Tunla Kalba district of the Savannah region. The unrest erupted after the local chief allegedly sold the disputed land to a private developer, sparking resistance from residents. Now, Tete reports from Accra.
The peaceful farming community of Binyere in the Sola Tuna Kalba district of the Savannah region was plunged into chaos early Sunday morning following a violent land dispute that left 5 people dead and 6 others injured. According to reports, the conflict erupted after the community chief sold a piece of land to a private developer several years ago. Trouble ignited when the developer arrived to begin work on the land only to face fierce opposition from residents who felt sidelined. Sinkina Saka, the district chief executive of Sola Tuna Kalba, provided insight into the escalating tensions, revealing that the residents in the area had fled the place following the incident.
The situation was very bad. People have to run away for their dear lives because there was gunshot in town, burning of motorbikes and what have you. And the way our settlements here are, there are a lot of people scattered all over the land. So every now and then you hear that there is an attack here and there. We are called the regional minister. There was heavy both military and police deployment in town, but it's very difficult to predict. And then now the attack is everywhere within the district. It's now a ghost town. Almost everybody has run away. Yesterday when we were leaving, people were running into the bush. We had old men, almost everybody.
Security analyst Richard Gumado says those behind the barbaric incidents must be brought to book.
Let's pray that those who shot the gun were the ones who have been arrested. Now that they have been arrested, what next? Once you shoot a gun and kill somebody, you're a murderer. And we have enough laws in this country to deal with that. Let's hope and pray that the people who have been arrested will be put before court if it has been proven that they are actually the ones who shot a gun and killed their enemies or their friends or loved ones.
The Regional Security Council has directed immediate relief support for displaced residents, with the Ghana Red Cross providing tents. It has also scheduled a mediation meeting in Damongo with rival factions and stakeholders to restore calm as authorities continue to investigate the incident. For WADR, Nadidi Tete, Accra.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
In Mali, political parties and civil society groups are celebrating what they call a historic legal victory after a Bamako court temporarily suspended the transitional authority's controversial decision to dissolve all political parties and associations. The High Court of Commune 1 issued a ruling on Monday, citing an objection of unconstitutionality raised by the plaintiffs. While the decision restores the legal framework for political organizations for now, the case has been referred to the Constitutional Court, the only body authorized to interpret the constitution adopted in July 2023. The suspension follows a legal challenge by lawyers representing the dissolved parties. Mamadou Camara, one of the lawyers, welcomed the ruling, calling it a positive step for political freedoms in Mali.
The court ruled on other requests for referral, which is granted, offering referrals to the Supreme Court, which will equate the effects to the functional court. This is an important step we have just taken, because our request to suspend the effects of the law related to the Charter of Parties and to refer the dispute to the functional court had raised a lot of certificates. But we have never ceased to be aware at the agency of our country, which has once again shown itself to be elevated.
As a reminder, on May 13, 2025, Mali's transitional government dissolved all political parties and associations of political nature throughout the country. This followed the repeal of the Charter of the Political Parties and the status of the opposition by National Transitional Council (NTC). In some political matters, Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara is scheduled to officially submit his candidacy for the October 25 presidential election today, August 26, at the headquarters of the Independent Electoral Commission. He is expected to be accompanied by supporters and activists from the ruling party, the Rally of the Hofetis for Democracy and Peace, RHDP. This move comes just one day after his longtime political rival, former President Laurent Gbagbo, filed his candidacy through close associates. Christopher Atichu completes the story.
This Tuesday marks the closing date for applications for all those aspiring to run for the highest office. On Monday, August 25, Laurent Gbagbo, president of the opposition party PPACI, was registered as the 37th candidate with the Independent Electoral Commission (CEI), while welcoming the mobilization of activists in favor of the citizen sponsorship of the former head of state, Sebastian Dano JJ. The party's executive president reaffirmed his party's confidence in the process.
While we were asked for 17, we ended up with 27 11 regions and districts. Olympus counts for a lot, but much more goes into it.
Before leaving the electoral institution, Sebastian Jeche urged Ivorians to make their choice peacefully and rigorously, inviting them to turn to Laurent Gbagbo, whom he described as a man deeply committed to democracy.
We simply wish for Ivorians to choose total transparency, inclusivity, rigor and credibility, but above all, peace. This is why we are making many proposals for the elections to take place in peace. Dear friends, President Laurent Gbagbo has submitted his candidacy for the presidential election of 2025. We wish him much courage and good luck so that he can win the elections on October 25, 2025.
Despite his removal from the electoral roll, Laurent Gbagbo shows no sign of giving up. The former president is calling on his supporters to remain hopeful. For now, all eyes are on the Constitutional Council, the only authority empowered to publish the final list of candidates deemed eligible for the October presidential election.
Christopher Atichi with the details of correspondent Master Ariston Blaze report from Abidjan. You are listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Gambian authorities detained at least 60 protesters over demonstration against recent hike in internet data charges by state regulatory authority. Ivorian President Wadr said to submit his candidacy filed today for October presidential election amid political tension. 5 fear dead and several injured in violent dispute in Ghana's Savannah region. And in Guinea, public outrage grows as new revelation confirms authorities holding missing activist Menge and Biloba for national security reasons. Still ahead in the news, we have press review, guest interview and sport news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
In Guinea, a recent statement by a prominent supporter of the ruling military has reignited public outcry over the fate of 2 missing activists, Foni Kembenge and Biloba, who have been missing for over a year. Despite repeated claims by judicial authorities and several government officials that they were unaware of the activists' whereabouts, Talibi Dabo, a fervent supporter of the military regime, revealed on Sunday that the 2 men are being held by the authorities for national security reasons. Foni Kembenge and Biloba are leading figures of the now dissolved National Front for the Defense of the Constitution, FNDC, a movement critical of the current junta. Augustine Colley reports.
For over a year, the disappearance of Foni Kembenge and Biloba has remained one of the most sensitive cases in Guinea's political landscape. Officially, the authorities have always denied knowing their fate. But the latest comments of Taliba Dabo, one of the closed associates of the ruling military, have changed the situation.
What do you think?
They have no problems. They eat well. They sleep well. But only it is their freedom of movement. They are restricted for national security reasons. And you have seen, since these people have been kept in secret, there is calm. It is they who instill fear. It is they who speak. These revelations have not left political and civil society figures indifferent. Several national and international organizations are now joining forces to demand a swift response from the judicial authorities. Aseni Kamara is the vice coordinator of Let's Turn the Page. We issued a public statement in this regard to call on the Public Prosecutor's Office of Conakry and Kankan to pay close attention to Mr. Talibe Dabo in order to further investigate these revelations so that the authorities can identify the perpetrators, co-perpetrators, and accomplices, especially the location of the detention of these Guinean citizens who have been unjustly adopted for several months. This case, which combines alleged enforced disappearance and accusations of secret detention, is once again testing the authorities' level of transparency. While awaiting official clarification, pressure is mounting on the Guinean justice system, which has been urged to shed full light on the fate of Foni Kembenge and Biloba.
A report from Cherno Alpha Ibrahim Balde in Conakry, voiced by Augustine Colley.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country. This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
Let's join our Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker for the newspaper review from Liberia.
This edition of Press Review begins with the Analyst newspaper, volume 27, number 009, and it goes with these stories. President Bouaka returns from Tokyo. Harless trips games, comments on CDC eviction. Anti-impunity fight will remain uncompromised. Flag Day orator Vice pleads for political will. And to conclude on the Analyst, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf meets visiting U.S. Senator. Our next stop is the Independent newspaper, and here are the headlines. Who replaces Grace Pay as Steve Kwai Woods Samuka Wale preferred? Well, this story is all about the foreign minister of state. There are people within the party who are now seeking to replace him while he is yet to be buried. Still on the Independent, CDC in turbulence, but party leaders urge time. And the fight against the drugs requires real actions, not sugar-coated declarations. Our next enliced stop is Front Page Africa newspaper that goes with these stories. A crisis of survival. New report recommends holistic approach to drug crisis, calls for joint task force against drug trafficking in the Mana River area. And government ban on shisha unless the tramadol sparks mixed reactions. Top officials split on whether it is the right or wrong decision. Well, that does it for this Tuesday's edition of Press Review from Monrovia. Thanks so kindly for listening.
Abraham Parker, thank you very much with the newspaper review from Liberia.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Now to our guest interview segment where we turn our attention to the Gambia again, where at least 6-7 young people remain in detention following mass arrests during protests against the recent hike in internet data charges introduced by the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority, PURA. The arrest 23 over the weekend and 44 more on Monday have sparked widespread condemnation from human rights groups and political actors who are calling for the immediate and unconditional release of the protesters. Joining us now is Mahdi Jabate, a long-time human rights advocate and the founder of the Edward Francis Small Center for Rights and Justice, one of the civil society organizations demanding accountability and justice in this case. Mr. Jabata was present at the peaceful protest where he personally experienced the impact of police tear gas and had to be taken to a clinic for medical checkup. He joins us now to share his first-side account of what happened and to speak on the broader implications of civil liberties and digital rights in the Gambia.
For me, this is a direct travesty of justice, a blatant abuse of power by the magistrate, a total disregard of the rule of law and of human rights. And so the magistrate just aggravated the situation so that the youths who came to show solidarity could not contain this judgment and so protested against it and, refused to leave the gates of the magistrate's court. And the police, without warning, directly deployed some kind of substance, liquid substance directly on the people. And so myself and many others succumb to it, so this is the situation.
Mr. Jobate, did the judge refuse to grant bail to the young people who were arrested on Friday, or the young people who were arrested refused to be bailed, or refused to accept the bail? Did they refuse to accept the bail?
So in the first place, when they were arrested on Friday, the police came to say they will release them on bail on Saturday. And the youth refused that bail because they don't want any bail with strings attached, So they opted for the court, that they would rather go to the court so that there they will get the bail by the court so that they will not be subjected to any police conditions or, restrictions. So when we got to the court expecting that the judge would grant the bail, he did not reject the bail. I mean, the prosecution did not object the bail, so he accepted bail. But what he said is that he would send them first to the prison for 2 weeks so that they come back and he will tell them what the bail conditions are, which is really ridiculous and, unimaginable, because you don't need 2 weeks to decide bail conditions, particularly on a matter that is a misdemeanor. I mean, it's just people who are charged with something like unlawful possession.
Now, so what was the final conclusion at the court? Where are the 19 young people who were earlier arrested on Friday and taken to court, along with the reported 14 people who were arrested for coming out in solidarity of their colleagues who were in detention since Friday?
Yeah, so 19 were arrested on Friday. An extra 4 were arrested on Saturday, making it 23. These 23 are the people who appeared in court, and the bail, the judge sent them to prison so that he can decide for their bail conditions in 2 weeks' time. Extra number of people were arrested. These 14 people you mentioned were the first arrested, but what we gather at this moment, 44 youths have been arrested. They are not yet taken to court. They are just arrested today, protesting the court's decision.
Do you know where they are?
Yes, we know where they are, though access is not possible, but we know where they are.
Finally, sir, how would you describe the entire reason why the young people protested since Friday about this internet data increase or increase in the price of internet data in the Gambia?
So this protest forms part of the various elements that indicate democratic backsliding in the Gambia since 2017, when we removed a 22-year brutal dictatorship and ushered in a new dispensation that we thought would bring democracy to this country. But since 2017, what is evident is that the trajectory of this country appears to follow the path of the past. Corruption, injustices, inefficiency, abuse of power, abuse of office, poor service delivery characterize the state in the Gambia.
Madi Jabate is a human rights activist, and the founder of it was Francis Small Center for Rights and Justice. Well, in sports, all roads lead to Nairobi and, of course, Tanzania, because today is the semi-final games for the African Nations Championship CHAN, dedicated specifically for local home-based players within the continent. And reigning champions, of course, I'm rooting for Senegal. Senegal will play today against Morocco, but we also have another game. Take us through, what are the fixtures for today's semi-final games, Christopher?
Well, today at exactly 2:30, Madagascar will be in action against James Kwesi Appiah's Sudan side in a thrilling debutant of both sides for the CHAN semi-finals. And of course, a win for either side would mean that either side will be for the first time heading to the finals of the CHAN tournament. And then, as you rightly said, Sudan will be taking Senegal will be taking on Morocco at exactly 5:30 as well.
That game, I am excited. I'm looking forward to watching that game. But quickly, let's talk about your compatriot, that is Appiah. He has transformed Sudanese football. I mean, he has qualified the country to AFCON. Yes. He has done that. He has beaten Ghana. And to think that Ghana actually fired this guy, I mean, it's
the
impressive.
Circumstances are different. I think he needed more time for Ghana. But Ghana, as a football nation, is one that we always want to win.
But what more time? I mean, we are talking about the guy who is able to do so well with Sudan.
I think Sudan, Sudan is not a football nation. We all admit that. And so he now coming to man the country's football system, gave him more time to explore various talents in the country, and then he's able to get the best to represent the country. And over time, he's been able to do that. That's why James Kwesi Appiah is doing so well with the Sudanese team at the moment. Wow. But I'm actually rooting to see Sudan play Senegal in the finals.
That's
what
your
about
prediction?
You? That's my prediction.
Well, we'll talk about this in our subsequent bulletin. Thank you very much, Christopher Atichu with Sports News. Well, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink on West African Democracy Radio from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Ismaila Kamara for the technical assistance. Do interact with us via our social media platforms, X and Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook, WADR English Service. I am Sankule Janko. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County.
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Nibe County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Banga, Liberia, Radio Baf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your